All right.
Alrighty, so I got that, and let me go ahead and start the recording. Sweet. Alright.
We are back for, I don't even know what episode.
It's like 6 or 7. I think.
6 or 7 of the Backscatter podcast. Today we are reflecting on pop culture and thinking about stuff that we watch and that we enjoy personally.
Yep.
So
we were just talking about the Witcher because you've played the game. This is your third time playing it. Since
I'm
you've gotten
on
it,
my
like
third
2 months ago.
playthrough of the base game. I've played one of the DLCs through once, and I started the other one, and then I decided to start a whole new playthrough over again.
Man,
I have legit spent over 200, probably almost 300 hours getting there on this game now.
man, I've played the game. Oh shoot, people can see that. Oops. Anyways, I've played the game 4 times, but over the course of like a few years. I'm on my. I finished the fourth game. I finished the main game for the 4th time, like over winter break, and then I've just been slowly beating like everything else since then. So it's taken me a while, but I just don't get to like play as often because like I work and I have school.
Of course. Busy
But
man.
no, it's fun. It's a good game. I'm on Blood and Wine right now.
Yeah, the second DLC. I was just talking about the Witcher show too, and how I thought it was like amazing the first time I watched it. Like I wanted the next season already. I was like, damn, that was cool.
Yeah.
But the more I learn about the source material after playing the games, and I mean, even the way the games deviate from the books, like the more I learn about the books, the more like stuff I'm like, why'd they do that? You know, like, come on. They could have not done that. They could have done this better. They could have, there was just like a lot of kind of arbitrary, like with the show, it seemed like there were a lot of arbitrary choices that were made. And then with the games, there's stuff like Geralt's cat eyes. Because he has like cat eyes in the games, but if you read the books, at least to my understanding, it seems like, and I haven't read the books yet, although I do want to read the books, but it seems like he didn't really have cat eyes in the book, unless he took like the cat potion or something, then he'd have cat eyes.
Yeah.
So there's just like a lot of stuff.
I know his
like
eyes did look weird. Like they looked abnormal even in the books all the time.
It sounded
But
like he had the ability to like constrict them because like I read a quote that somebody had posted about a passage from the books where it talks about Geralt's eyes turning into pinholes. You know, not slits, but like pinholes.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed like he had like an incredible ability to just manipulate the amount of light his eyes take in, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So like a cat, but not cat eyes necessarily, right?
Yeah. I liked the show the first time I watched it, but I'm not gonna lie. I thought, okay, I really liked the show the first time I watched it, but I don't think I liked it as much as like you liked it the first time you watched it, or even like when I watched it with like my brother. I liked it, but I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was a little corny sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it just was, and that's just the writing. It's not really like Henry Cavill's a good actor.
Dude, Henry Cavill's so into The Witcher too.
Honestly, I think that's great though. Like I think he's read all the books, he's played the games, so like he's really into it, which shows because his performance was,
I feel like he's the
like
best character
significantly
in the show.
better than some of the other ones.
Yeah. I really
They
felt like he was the
recasted
best
some people
character.
too in this new season.
They recasted people? How do you do that?
So they recasted what's her name? Oh my gosh.
Did they recast Triss?
No, they didn't recast Triss. They recasted not Philippa,
Fringilla Vigo?
Fringilla. They
Yeah.
recasted her.
That
She got recasted.
her character was really disappointing. Honestly. Yeah. I feel like it was just like flat. It was very like there was like she was just like a bad guy basically.
Yeah.
Like
Which,
there was
see what I'm curious to see what they do. Okay, spoiler alert if you don't want any spoilers for The Witcher, I'd skip ahead a little bit, but spoiler alert,
Yeah.
In the books, they get together. Geralt and Fringilla.
I know they're together for like a long time too. In the books.
I think it's while he's in where the second DLC takes place, Toussaint. It's when they're there. I think they get together while he's still with Yennefer, so he cheats on Yennefer to get with Fringilla.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I mean, he cheats, quote unquote. I mean, the reality is like whenever they're not together, they're really not together. And when they are together, they're super together. But they're always shagging other people, like constantly.
Yep. They're both all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think that there's certain things in the book that they're not going to do in the show, and I honestly do think like there's a kind of a rapey scene with Ciri in the books. I don't think they're going to do that in the show, and I don't know that they should. I think it'd be kind of weird. Yeah. Especially like when you realize how young she's supposed to be.
She's supposed to be like 12, but she's definitely not 12 in this series.
Yeah, so it's just a little. I don't think they'll do that, and I think that's for the better. I don't think they need to do that.
It's pushing the line. We don't need to see that. It's too disturbing.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they're not going to do like what they did in Game of Thrones, where they just aged her up. Like they didn't do that. They've solidified that she is young, right? In Game of Thrones, the way they handled that was, to make it less weird, we'll just make her older.
Yeah.
With Daenerys' character,
right?
It was still weird, but So I think like shit like that, I don't think they'll go, and I don't think that like that's a bad thing. I think that can be for the better. I just don't know that you need to see that.
I think that there's definitely probably a good amount of little stuff like that, because obviously they're adapting the books. They're not having like every little detail. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff they've already changed so many things, like translating the show, like the first short story in the Sword of Destiny. I listened to a whole podcast about it, basically a synopsis about the story and everything, and a discussion of it. And then I went back and I watched that episode in the show, and it plays out like totally differently.
Is that the first episode?
And no, that's not the first episode. That's the one where the villagers or whatever, they think that Geralt's like dead, so they try to rob his stuff. And then the guy with the Zerrikanian warrior shows up. And he's like a dragon. You find out at the end he's a dragon.
Yeah.
So
I think something that this is something that the developers of the games initially changed, and I get why, and it kind of makes sense. So in the books, Geralt is ugly. Like he's not attractive at all, and he's not that big either, right? And Henry Cavill is neither of those things. He is big, and he is conventionally attractive, right?
You feel like a Witcher, maybe not attractive necessarily, but you feel like a Witcher would definitely be a big guy though, right?
Would be a what?
Like a physically big person, you know?
Right. And so one of the things that they changed in the games, especially in the third game, is they were like, it's just not. Geralt gets with how many women throughout these?
Like countless, like
one of the things, they were joking, but it's also like a good point. They're like, there's no way that this guy is going to be this successful with all these different people and not be like, really? Come on.
At least mildly
like you expect us to believe that?
Yeah.
Say that again?
Like he needs to be at least mildly attractive.
Right. Like give him the weird, like the cat eyes and scarred up and things like fine, but like you can't, like it's just, I don't know.
It needs to be decent looking.
I get why they changed that. I get why they changed that.
It's not realistic. Even if you're like the most badass monster hunter and you're like, I mean, people like automatically hate you, like most normal people. And so at that point, your only shot is with like what, sorceresses and maybe some other non-humans, and that's it. You know?
Because I know in the first game. And you can do it in the... Okay, you know Shani, her character?
Yeah, well, she's a human. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's a human. So in the first game, like, you can get with her in the first game. Mm-hmm. But, like, it doesn't end up working out because, like, the same reasons it doesn't really work out in the third game is because
you're like, moving all over the place. She wants to kind of have a life or whatever. Yeah.
It would make sense, right? And so it's... I don't know, their relationship was cool. It was interesting, like, because I didn't know much about the first game the first time I played it. Witcher 3. The first time I played The Witcher 3, I knew nothing about it at all.
About The Witcher or anything? You just played it?
The only context I had was that game. and you can figure it out, and because it's a pretty self-contained story, you can know what's going on without having understood everything that came before.
Yeah, because it's like Wild Hunt bad. They're coming for Ceres like my daughter or whatever. I mean, they make everything pretty clear, like right off the bat.
So, and I think that was smart on their decision, especially since that game like blew up. It's a really big
huge
game. Right?
It was the game
for a
of the
lot
year.
of people. That's all they've ever played. That's all they know about The Witcher.
Yeah.
Now I know a fair amount about it. I haven't read the books, although I want to one day. But I know a lot of the stuff that happens in the books. Like, I know the general story and, like, where it goes. Like, I know what the ending of the show is going to be. Right? Like, or at least, like, that's the way that books end, and I'd be shocked if they did something different.
Right.
Not going to be a happy ending, I'm just going to say that. But, because the games are sequels to the books.
Right.
But I don't think the author actually considers the games canon, but, like, whatever.
They're fun.
They're good, and I think they tell a pretty good story. So,
yeah, man. I mean this is one thing that, because I played The Witcher 3 a ton now, obviously, is that I went back and there's certain things that I went and I watched on YouTube from the previous games, because there's just so many things. There's just so many things in The Witcher 3 rather, that it's so cool to get contextualized. Like, why does Philippa Eilhart not have eyes?
That's in the second game.
Exactly. What happened to King Foltest? That's referenced a bunch, how Foltest was killed and like king killers and stuff like that. So you have to go back to the second game to see all that stuff. So I went back to the second game to see all that, just for context, you know?
I've played so what I did for context, because I kind of knew the story of it, I played it. It was like $5 or something. I bought it. I wouldn't play it again like I would The Witcher 3, but like it was still cool. Like it was just the gameplay was dated, so I didn't really like. I was like, eh. But the story was cool, and and it gave a ton of context for everything else. It gave more context to like just certain things they mentioned, like Foltest, King Killer. If you could find Letho if you spare him in Witcher 2.
There's also Vess and Vernon Roach. Right,
it gives more context to them. It also gives more context to your relationship with Triss at the beginning of Witcher 3.
Right.
Of why it's kind of...
Honestly, I'm on my third playthrough of Witcher 3, and I'm going to go with Triss this time. Because...
Really?
Yeah, because I know that Geralt, like, if we're talking about Geralt in the Witcher universe, we all know he would go with Yennefer for sure. But I just feel like Triss is a better person. You know?
In the games, in the books, she's hella manipulative. She's not a good person in the books.
Yeah, I know, I've heard, but also Yennefer isn't a good person in the books either.
None of them are. At the end of the day, none of them are actually good people, I don't think. They're not good, they're not bad, they're just people.
They're like sorceresses, so...
Well, yeah. Well, they're all flawed. You know what I mean? They're like, none of them are perfect. They're all flawed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I've always done Yennefer whenever I played the game.
I never did what you did the first time. I'm tired of pretending that she's not better looking. She's mean. She literally...
clearly difference in our type.
Dude, I mean... that's the main thing for me, is that she'll like throw you through a portal if she gets mad at you and throw you into like a lake. Just because you didn't kiss her ass, bro. Like... she just is so like... Oh my god, is she serious right now? Like,
I think she throws you out of the portal when you screw Triss. I'm just throwing that out there. You don't get thrown unless you do that.
Oh, well, I don't know, but
no.
I mean, I've done that twice now, but yeah.
Well, you've done both?
I did the both the first time. I did Yennefer the second time, and doing Triss this time. Nice. So
nice. Yeah, no, it's a really good game, and the story's cool. I'm stoked for the second season. They just wrapped production on it, so I think it'll hopefully come out like sometime, and maybe end of this year, sometime next year.
I think that's highly anticipated, and I'm just really hoping that they do a good job with the writing on that. But this year is a crazy year because I feel like everything that didn't come out in 2020, like all the productions that were halted and everything that was put on hold, like everyone is trying to get it out now. Like all these companies are trying to get it out. Netflix is trying to get The Witcher wrapped up, and they're gonna try and get that out. The final season of Attack on Titan, which is probably one of the biggest animes like ever now, and mangas. That they just wrapped part 1 of season 4, and then they did announce that it's going to be a 2-part season, and that's supposed to come out at the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year too, same time as The Witcher.
Oh, for Attack on Titan? Really? I thought it was finishing this year. Like by summer.
No, I read that the creators announced a season 2, or not a season 2, but a part 2 of season 4, basically. Which I knew they had to do that because I read the manga, and there's just too much story.
I know what happens too. I've never, like, I'm not like super into it, but I know the ending of it because
it's not like over yet, but like you know where it goes though, yeah.
Yeah, and there's only one more chapter that has to be published, and then it's done.
Dude, it got like so crazy.
Yeah.
It went from like, okay, I get this. This is a cool idea, you know. We have like these people living in these walls, and they're hiding from these things they call titans, which are basically giants that eat people. And they've developed like unique technologies and a force to combat that, and to, you know, eventually reclaim their land from these beasts, from these monsters. And you know, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm just going to say you should watch it, and I won't spoil the twist or anything in case anybody wants to go watch it who's listening, because it is really good. Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it. I've never got like I just couldn't get into it. I tried watching it. But
it might be hard for some people too, because it's like a shonen, not manga, but anime. And some people aren't into anime, and they don't like watching cartoons and animation. For some people, it's the kind of dramatized effects of everything, or the personalities, or the
see. I can only put up like with that. So I watched Full Metal Alchemist, and I loved it. I thought it was really good. Yeah. But even then, I thought it was like there was times where like it was like.
See, I couldn't watch Full Metal Alchemist.
See, I thought it was too dramatic sometimes. Where like I was like, okay, like but like Attack on Titan, the first episode, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is just too dramatic. Whereas Full Metal Alchemist, like, it happens. And it happens, like, frequently enough that you notice it, but it's not to where I'm like, oh, okay, like, it doesn't, like, hinder it for me. Like, I can keep watching it because for the most part, it's not too, like, ridiculous. Whereas I just thought, like, the beginning of Attack on Titan, I was like, dude, shut up. Like, this, you just, it
Who
sounded...
Like Aaron?
Huh?
Like Aaron shut up? Yeah, Aaron.
I was like, man, like, it's just so, like, there's believable, like, emotional reactions where you're extremely angry, which I know it's an anime, it's not supposed to be, but, like, I just thought it was too dramatic, where I was like, okay, I can't get into it. Like, I wanted to try to.
So mad about everyone for like everything. There are kids who are like that, though. I could see that. I just feel like it's weird because he's the protagonist, and usually...
It wasn't even just that. It was also it's not the being angry at everything. It's like the dramatized acting to where it's like, oh, this is, oh, okay. That's where I was like dramatic. That, you know what I mean?
That really tapers off. By the time you get to the 4th season, there's like none of that.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it.
It is like so toned down. Like the manga isn't really like that, like at all. Or at least from what I've read, it's not like that. It's very, I can't really say down to earth because the story is like really fucking out there, but it's definitely believable, you know, if you, in that world, you know, it's like, you can empathize with characters, you can like really understand things. It's not difficult to kind of, you know, imagine what it'd be like to be put in a position like that, as like crazy as it is, you know. And in the show, they one of the biggest things is the art style. They really departed from the art style until they got to the 4th season. But by the time they get to the 4th season, everything is like spot on true to the manga. I feel like it's really cool because I actually read the manga, and so now seeing the show, I'm like, whoa, like they literally just made the comic into like it's like they literally just made it a moving comic is what they did, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like they just went, all right, here's the source material, we're just gonna boom. That's what, so Full Metal Alchemist, the first season, or the first, because there's 2 shows. There's Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the good one. Full Metal Alchemist is it doesn't actually follow the manga at all. It like the first episode does, the first couple episodes, and then it completely departs. It's completely different. Like some of the ideas obviously are there, like the homunculi, all that shit is there, but like it's not. It heavily departs. It's way different. And like the ending is way different. Like I think one of their brothers dies at the end, and then like they never get their body. Like it.
It's like a messed
spoiler
up.
Alert, oops, but
spoiler
it's,
alert. But it's like a messed up ending. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not how the original. Now, mind you, they started the show, the original show, before the manga was even done, and they continued. So basically, like Game of Thrones, they started to put stuff out. Like the show got ahead of the manga, like how the show Game of Thrones got ahead of the books.
Right. He still hasn't put out the final Game of Thrones books, has he?
There's 2 books he has to put out, and he hasn't put them out yet.
Right.
But then the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was written by the same woman that wrote the manga. So so that's why it's extremely accurate to the original manga. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. The way my brother described it, and I was like, yeah, I could see that. He was like, it was kind of like a. So I grew up. One of my favorite shows when I was a kid was Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Sean said it felt like a more like mature, grown-up version of that, with the similar themes of war, and they're not like bending, but the same ideas of like
they manipulate things,
manipulating the world around them to do certain things. Exactly. So I was like, yeah, I could see that. I think because of like childhood nostalgia, I still like Avatar more, but I liked Full Metal Alchemist a lot.
See, I think one of the things that really turned me off about Full Metal Alchemist was how. See, I mean, it was just like too much for me, honestly. I was like, I like science and stuff, like real science.
Yeah.
And so for me, seeing them like. I see. I've never been into Avatar either, and so like seeing these guys like make ice out of nowhere and stuff like that, I was just like, this is ridiculous. I can't watch this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like that was too much for me. Like I could watch a show about giants breaking down the walls and eating people, and them creating a military force to combat that and to take back their land. Like that to me is cool because it's like you could see. You know, base it off some Norse mythology, throw some magic in there, and it's like poof. All right, that can happen. But I feel like if you take something that's kind of based on reality, but it is not reality, like alchemy is a real thing. You know, science is a real thing. There's like real ways to manipulate matter and to manipulate the world around you in real life, and we do it all the time. But if you kind of take it in a more creative direction and you go, well, like, what if people could, you know, do all this crazy stuff with like fire and ice and like freeze people and stuff, you know, then it's like, I don't know. I think it's less about that and just more about the way the show it just felt kind of silly to me, you know?
No, I can see that. I get that.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was cool, but I think part of the reason I guess I kind of suspended my belief with that and didn't really, like, Avatar was one of my favorite shows as a kid. So, like, I had already seen something similar to that where people are bending elements. Like,
right.
I had already seen it. You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, it wasn't.
It's easier to suspend
that
disbelief.
weird to me. Exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought it was more believable than Avatar because at least they tried to explain it with like, no, this isn't any magic shit. Like they're like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Avatar, like it's not. I don't know. Avatar's different though. Like it's its own thing. It's not like it has nothing to do with science and stuff. Like it's more
like magic.
It's a lot. So it's inspired a lot by Eastern cultures and religions and things like that. Mm-hmm. It all comes from Eastern religion, except for the water tribes. Those are based on Inuit people. I think. Yeah, I think it's based on them. Which obviously you can kind of tell. But everything else, it's Eastern. Like the Earth Kingdom, like that's supposed to be China.
Oh, that's interesting.
The air nomads are Tibetan monks, so Buddhist. And you could see, like, if you look at what the main character, that orange robe, and if you look at what the other monks wear, that's what Tibetan Buddhist monks wear. A lot of monks in general wear that, though. And then the Fire Nation is based on Imperial Japan. So it's cool the way that they handle it and the way that they kind of use aspects of those cultures to create this show. I really enjoyed it. I thought it, especially as a kid, it was just cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's moments like, so I rewatched it when they put it on Netflix last year, and I was like, oh, I still love this show.
Yeah.
Like, part of it has to do with childhood nostalgia, but it's also like a well-written show, especially for a kid's show.
Dude, that's me with Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Like, anybody can say, anybody can say what they will about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, but that show is my shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Because I am a huge, like, Star Wars, like, over-the-top Star Wars nerd. I'm not the craziest one, but, I mean, dude, like, when I was a kid, I had all the ships in Lego. If I didn't have them, I would find ways to, like, build them. I knew everything. I would have my parents buy me, like, books for my birthday, just talking about all the Star Wars stuff, like detailing like all the ships, the interiors, like what all the parts are, and the same things like with the characters, who they are, the backstories, like huge like encyclopedias of Star Wars. I think is what they called them. That they called them like Star Wars encyclopedias or something. And sticker books, like everything, you name it, that was all my shit, dude. And so when the Clone Wars came out when I was a kid, I pretty much stuck with it. I kind of fell off when I was in like high school, but once I got into college, I was like looking for something to watch one day, and I found it. They used to have it on Netflix, and so I just started watching it again. And damn, that is the best Star Wars anything.
It's actually like hell. I haven't seen it. Like I kind of watched it when I was a kid, but like it's actually hella good. And it gives way more context,
dark, dude. It gets way darker than anything in any of the movies.
I know, and what's cool is it. I feel like it gives more context to the not so great prequels.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's in between episode 2 and 3, and I think the last season of the Clone Wars takes place during the third movie. Like some parts of it are during that.
I have a 5-hour supercut of episode 3 that is a combination of the Clone Wars finale and episode 3.
Wow.
Yeah, some guy made it and I hit him up and I was like, hey, can you send me that? And he was like, yeah, sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you seen it yet or no?
Yeah, I watched it. It's crazy. This is a 5-hour movie.
Was it better than... Did you feel like it gave more context that third movie? Or?
I think with the context of the Clone Wars, being able to see it all cut together, because he cut it together really good. It's like its own movie, basically. I mean, that literally is what it is, right? It's incredible, dude, because you can see the whole story with Anakin's Padawan tied into episode 3, so she's a part of it. And... You know, all the same heartbreaking scenes that happen at the end of the Clone Wars from the show are in there, as well as everything in episode 3. And it's like all together. So
didn't they recreate that last fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in the cartoon too?
No, they didn't take. I won't say they took nothing from episode 3, but they took very few actual scenes from episode 3. And if they did, they showed them from someone else's perspective. Yeah. So like if you had like a conversation on a holo table or something in episode 3, you'd see it from like where like Ahsoka was, you know, and they like that's one thing they did is there's like a conversation when Obi-Wan kills General Grievous in episode 3. And so in the Clone Wars show, what they did is they had it so that basically right before Anakin walks in, the council is talking to Ahsoka. And then Ahsoka hops off, and then that's when, in episode 3, I think Anakin becomes part of that conversation. Or he might not have been part of the conversation. I don't really remember, but it was just like one of those things where you're like, oh, that's in episode 3. Like, I saw that. I remember that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And other than that, it was just like all new stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it because it's on Disney Plus, so I could watch it. We have it, so.
I would recommend watching like parts of the. Actually, if you really want to watch it, there are some really good episodes. Because honestly, I wouldn't watch the whole thing. A lot of it isn't worth watching, but a lot of it is. You know.
Okay, I'll just look up. It's probably. I'm sure there's a lot of it that's filler. I could just look up how to avoid that and what episodes to watch that are actually important.
Yeah, like even the last season, like a third of it is not worth watching.
Really?
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
You know what animation I thought looked hella weird was or it was similar. It was so Star Wars Rebels. How the lightsabers are hella skinny. It looks so weird.
It was really weird. I got used to that. Because of course I watched that too.
Yeah,
but
I've never seen it. I've only seen clips.
I didn't like it nearly as much as anything else. It's probably. I'd rather watch the like episode 1, like the prequels, over Rebels. Yeah, it wasn't that great. Yeah, I mean it had good moments. Like the story was good. I think it tied into the greater universe well, but it just was like, all right, that was cool. You know, I'm not gonna watch it again or anything. It was cool. It wasn't bad or anything, but it just wasn't awesome. You know.
Dude, you know what I'm looking forward to? I think it comes out end of this year is the next Spider-Man movie.
Dude, yes. So this is, again, like what I said earlier, how shit's just popping off.
Yep.
Because, everyone's coming back from COVID. Now, see, Marvel's now coming back with all their comic-adapted movies.
Yeah, even the shows that I think WandaVision was the first Marvel thing that Marvel Studios has released in 2 years.
Dude.
Oh, that was good.
Dude, if you think WandaVision was good, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is on another level.
Okay, I gotta watch. I haven't seen it yet. I'm probably gonna do what I did with WandaVision and wait till it's all out so I can just binge it.
Dude, I won't spoil anything that's happened so far too much. I mean, there's really not that much to spoil. I mean, everyone pretty much knows what's gonna happen from the trailers, and that's all they've shown so far, really. But, dude, let me just say, we got the Baron Zemo that we deserve. You know, with him with the mask and all that. That is the Zemo we got.
Nice.
Yeah. And they haven't done his whole backstory where he gets like dipped in a vat of acid or whatever, like in the comics. And honestly, I kind of hope they don't do that because his character is so interesting. Because he's almost like an anti-hero, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god, I don't want to say too much, but this guy is a badass. He goes like
I'll definitely.
Mode. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'll start watching it before it finishes. We'll see. But no, it looks pretty good. I definitely want to watch it. You know what I watched the other day with Aaron that was good. It was Batman: The Killing Joke. I had never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
So I had always wanted to see it. Right. So it's an animated Batman film. It's a rated R cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. I was surprised. I liked it a lot. I thought it was cool. I want to watch I thought it was a sequel, but it's not. I want to watch Batman: A Death in the Family next. That came out last year. That looks pretty cool. I kind of know what happens in it already, but I still want to see it because it's way darker than The Killing Joke. Like The Killing Joke, it was cool because it was adapted from a comic that kind of gave the Joker a backstory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like everyone knows. Well, if you know the comics, it like knows that the Ace chemicals, like. That's with Joker and Harley Quinn. That's why they have the pale skin.
Exactly. They fall in a vat of acid. Yeah.
They fall into the vat of acid. At least that's how it is like in some of the comics. But and they showed that in the Killing Joke. And it was cool. Like it gave more context to the Joker. And what was interesting as I was watching it is I was like, oh, I can totally see how the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix was inspired by this. Because it was, I think. I think they took certain aspects of the comic that's based on, and in the movie, it's different.
Dude, like the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix was it was like another level, dude.
I thought it was really good.
It was so amazing, and also it was like it made me like feel things, dude. I was like, damn, because it is like so messed up. And that is part of its ability to create a certain kind of atmosphere and evoke certain emotion in people is what makes it so good. Like, the fact that it can be so disturbing is part of why it's such a great movie, you know?
I agree. It because like he's not like he does bad things, right? But it's you almost sympathize with him. Like that's I think that's what the director and writer wanted you to do. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make you sympathize with the bad guys. I'm not gonna justify what he's doing, but you're gonna sympathize with him." Yeah. And I think he succeeded in that because it's like you feel bad for him because it's like, ooh.
You get like an up close look at his mental illness, though. You know, the way it's depicted in that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was really. I really enjoyed it, and I always think it's funny that that's the same guy that wrote and directed the Hangover trilogy.
Yeah, that's
the guy
crazy,
that wrote and
right?
directed Joker is the guy that wrote and directed Hangover. I think that's so funny.
That is crazy, right? Hold up, I gotta blow my nose real quick.
Talk about versatile writing and stuff, man. But
yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I like that movie a lot. I thought it was really good. I do think people were like hella overreacting with oh my god, someone's gonna go shoot up a theater. That never happened. It didn't happen.
Man, people will get like really weird, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. It was a good movie. People.
It was a good movie,
you know,
and honestly, that's one of the coolest things too. Is I feel like when stories can connect to real life too, and I feel like that was another one of those things where it was like, damn, like this isn't real, but it gives you a different kind of a perspective on things that are actually real, you know, like people do get run up on in the subway. People do get murdered, you know, like in New York, like especially, you know, there's violence.
And I think that's what
there's neglect by the government, you know, people are forgotten. People with mental illness are not properly cared for, you know, and people have extreme mental illnesses where they will kill people and stuff like that. And so that's all real stuff. Like this story necessarily might not be a real story. This might be the Joker or whatever, but that stuff, failed comedians, you know, the reality of bombing on stage, like that is all real stuff, all of it, you know? So
what I liked about it is that it's also one of the things that I liked about the Dark Knight trilogy is like it was believable. You know what I mean? Oh, shoot. You're frozen for me, bud. All right. Is it good? Can you hear me? Good connection?
Yeah. No, we're fine. Yeah, everything's back to normal.
Okay, cool. We'll edit this out. Sorry. Anyways,
you were saying why you like the Joker, though, after I went and rambled.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was saying. It's okay. I think I was saying, like, I like that it was believable. And I was also talking about the Dark Knight. Why, like, it was another thing that, like, I thought, like, obviously, like, it's a superhero movie, like, no shit. But, like, it's still...
there ain't no Batman, but...
Right. There's no guy that, let me go dress up as a bat and beat people up. Like,
really?
Like, it's ridiculous. But, like, what's funny is, like, in those movies, it didn't feel ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it had, like, this grit to it, too.
Christopher Nolan, man. But those are good movies. I really like those. It like made that character believable. Even the villains, like there's no like mystical shit. Like it's all based in reality. Every villain in every movie.
See, one of the things that they did with the DCEU that I feel like killed it is they were trying to make it like the Marvel thing. You know, they were trying to make it like funnier and more colorful, and that wasn't what it was, you know? And that wasn't like Zack Snyder, one of the chief directors involved in the DCEU. Like that wasn't his vision for it, you know? Like when he did Justice League, I watched the Snyder Cut. It's so much better.
I haven't seen it. I still want to see it.
It's incredible what Warner Brothers did. And this is kind of just one of the things about having a bad studio and having people making these creative decisions, you know, based on business models and even based on like, not even your own ideas, but because you want to do what made someone else successful, you know, as opposed to doing your own thing.
Which... One of the things that always made DC cool, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know the comics from Marvel are also dark, but like DC was just grittier. You know what I mean? It was more like, except for Superman, but like it was just, ooh, like that's not, like you see certain things that some of the heroes might even do sometimes, and it's like,
damn.
I don't know. They felt more like actual people to me because they had their flaws. Don't get me wrong. Like Iron Man, of course, has his. Like they all do, but like,
yeah. But with the thing with the Marvel movies though is they kind of did more of a comedy spin on it, and it worked amazing. It worked really good.
Yeah.
But DC, dude, like with the Justice League, I watched the Snyder Cut, and I'm gonna tell you, they took out pretty much the whole movie. And they replaced some of it in the actual theatrical cut. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, the context for things, the backstory for characters, entire scenes, reasons for things happening, entire characters and actors and people were taken out of the movie. Like, they took the whole movie and they pretty much took out almost everything that made it good.
It's just dumb. I want to watch it. It looks good. Because I liked the original Man of Steel. I thought it was. Have you seen it?
I saw Man of Steel. It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Oh, it's really good.
I love it. Also Henry Cavill, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true, and he's so good as Superman.
He's great.
He kills that role. He looks like him. It's crazy.
It's crazy because he does The Witcher great too.
He's a versatile. He's actually a pretty good actor. Like he's not bad. Because he does, like with Geralt, he plays this like emotionally unavailable monster killer.
Emotionally unavailable. That's funny.
Well, not me. Like he tries to be, but anyways,
he's supposed to be like stripped of emotions or whatever.
Yeah,
quote,
but
unquote.
like that's bullshit. That's not.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
And then, but then Superman is just a completely different character.
Totally different, yeah.
And he does a good job with him. One of the things that I liked, and I know like some people didn't like. Okay, if you haven't seen Man of Steel, I don't know what to tell you. It came out almost 10 years ago at this point, so I don't feel bad for spoiling this.
Yeah.
Like he kills Zod at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like. They're like, "Oh, Superman's not supposed to kill," and it's like, dude, they took the original source material, and then. They took the character of Superman, but then put him in a situation that he didn't want to be in. Mm-hmm. Right? I thought it was cool because you could see how broken he was. He clearly didn't want to kill him.
Dude,
when he did, you could see the pain in his face.
Oh, dude, it was so good, man. Because you literally face a man with the extinction of his people. Mm-hmm. You first he has this realization and he learns all about his people, and there's all this wonder and like, whoa, I'm like from this Krypton place, you know, and oh, my dad was like, you know, I don't remember his dad's name, Jor-El.
He was important.
Yeah, but yeah, he was like who he was, and then you find out like Zod is alive, but then Zod comes in and Zod wants to destroy this planet that you grew up on, and that you love all these people, and he tries to convince you that like, oh, we're like superior to them, like. You know, this is how things should be. You know, we have a chance to rebuild our world. So you can like sympathize with Zod too. You're like, I get where he's coming from. But the thing is, he's just taking this like genocidal position. You know, he just wants to wipe out these other people for Krypton. And Superman's like, dude, no. You know, so
with this. Exactly.
So he has to basically condemn his people to extinction for the sake of the humans that he grew up with. So it's just like, oh,
it was. I really like that movie. My uncle, who's he's the one that got me in all these movies. He's the reason I started learning more about the comics. Because he was into them. He read the comics. He watched all the cartoons and stuff growing up, all the movies and all that. And he's the one that took me to see Man of Steel for the first time. He was like, "Oh, it's so good." He was like, "We'll go watch it." We went to Canada and he took us.
Oh, that's dope.
And I loved it, dude. Like it was so good. I'll never forget watching that in theater. I was like, oh, I remember at the end when he killed Zod, I was like, what the, like, I didn't think he was going to do it. Right. And then he breaks his neck and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. They went like savage with that.
Yeah, dude. Man. It was cool though. Like it was like well done the way that they did it.
Oh, dude, 100%.
And then Batman versus Superman came. So part of the reason that because Zack Snyder wrote and directed Batman vs Superman, and it wasn't that great.
They also butchered that movie though. Warner Brothers. They took out a bunch of stuff. They changed a bunch of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things though that so Christopher Nolan, the guy that wrote and directed the Dark Knight trilogy, also was a producer and helped write Man of Steel. He was also on there, and he's a good. And you can tell, like, there's clearly some influences, like, just in the way it's filmed. It's like, oh, this looks like a Nolan movie.
Right.
It just kind of, like, with the colors that they use and things like that. Like, it's kind of obvious that it's influenced from him. And you can see how there's that separation once you get to Batman vs. Superman. That it's like, okay, this is just Zack Snyder. And then even with the Snyder Cut, because I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very grim. Very grim.
It's grim.
Very dark.
And don't get me wrong. Yeah. Nolan does the same thing. It's interesting how color is used to convey certain feelings.
Color is a big thing, yeah.
With the grim look in the Snyder Cut of Justice League, like it's darker. But one of the things I think that's interesting that Nolan does, and then you can see that influence in the Man of Steel movie, is there's a lot of like kind of bluish gray look to a lot of different things. If you look at think of the Dark Knight trilogy, there's a lot of those colors that they use to convey that emotion. He does that in a lot of his movies. In Inception, he uses similar color palettes, very neutral.
Inception was a lot more colorful, though.
It was more colorful, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah, Inception was really good. I've watched that movie so many times, though, I don't really want to watch it anymore.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times, and it's not like... It's not a movie that like I could watch over and over again, but it's like I like the movie.
It's a good movie, yeah.
One of the movies I want to rewatch just because I don't think I could have really appreciated it the first time because I just couldn't figure out what was going on was Tenet.
I had to see that movie like 3 times, and I kind of looked up what was going on in order to I don't even fully get it still. I only like 90% get it, but
so I watched it in the drive-ins, so I couldn't properly hear the dialogue. I couldn't read the subtitles, and there was a lot of subtitles because they were speaking in different languages for some of the movie. And I couldn't figure out what was happening until like the last 20 minutes of the movie. And I was like, oh, they're going back. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think I get it, but not entirely. Like, that's a movie, because Sean watched it, right? And he was like, oh, it was really good. And I was like, really? Because I didn't get it. Like, I didn't really care for it. Yeah. I also think I went in with too high of expectations. I went in because like I like Christopher Nolan. I like the movies that I've seen of his.
It's
and
different. It's not really the kind of movie you can have expectations for.
No, I shouldn't have gone in with any. And so that was on me. But like, I also like it was just I also just couldn't figure it out.
It's freaking complicated, dude.
So it's definitely a movie I want to watch again because like Sean watched it and he said he got it the first time he watched it. I was like, really? But I don't know. I'd have to watch it again.
You just have to like really pay attention. Tenet is one of those movies that is. It's like one of those time travel movies where it's like everything that has happened has always happened, basically, which does make sense, I think. I think that's probably one of the more plausible versions of time travel. It's that the way everything is, you know, if you go back, it's still like that. And it's like that because you went back and it was like that before. So it's kind of like a contained loop, you know? And so it's that kind of time travel movie. But you start like at the end kind of and the beginning. Like the beginning is also the end because it's a loop, you know? And so it takes a while to kind of figure out the story and whatnot. And by the time you get to the end of it, there's just so much going on. It's difficult to follow because you're seeing there are people going backwards in time at the same time as there are people going forwards in time.
Yeah. And that was a trip.
Yeah. So
I will say visually, the movie was really cool. Like that was something I was able to appreciate. The whole movie was like visually, like I was like, how did they film this?
Yes.
And that, like some of the fight scenes where it looked like they were going back in time while they were fighting. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Like, it's like rewinding.
Yeah. But like it was interesting because it was like it looked like it was half rewinding and half not. Yeah. There was times where it looked like this is happening and then okay, this is getting rewind. And it was cool. Like the way it was shot, like that was something throughout the whole movie I was able to appreciate. Something else I think is interesting. The main character doesn't have a name. The protagonist. That's what the whole movie they call him the protagonist.
Yeah, he didn't have a name. He was just
right?
like
And if you look
guy.
at the description, right, for the movie, the protagonist, that's like legitimately what they call him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they don't give him a name. You don't really know who he is.
I think that's cool. I feel like that's what added to his kind of badass look. That kind of just completes it. It's like, this guy is so badass, he doesn't even need a name.
And that's a good actor too. John David Washington. He's a good actor. He was in Black Klansman. That was the first movie I'd seen him in.
Yeah, he was. He was amazing.
Didn't we see that?
I don't think we saw it together. No.
Okay, I think I was with Miles and Aaron and then Sean, but that was a really good movie.
It was a good movie. I thought it was going to be a comedy though, and so I put it on for the first time. I watched it as an RA with my residents, and that was I don't want to say that was a mistake, but it was not what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, you know, funny. Like, it has funny moments in it.
It's not a comedy though.
But it's not. It's the style of the movie. Like, it's a drama, right? It's technically, but it has comedic moments.
Yeah.
That, like, and it works within it. Like, hearing him just like when he's pretending to talk to the guy.
It's funny. Yeah.
It's funny because like the shit he's saying, it's like, oh my god, like, it's just so blatantly like. Yeah, racist, and it's funny because he's totally convincing the other dude.
Yeah,
that
he's like, playing a guy who's like a KKK sympathizer, basically, and
it's funny because what makes it funny too is
he's black. He's a black guy.
He's a black dude pretending to be a KKK sympathizer, and then they send a Jewish guy to go actually. So the two people that they hate the most were the ones that infiltrated this group. You know what's crazy is that's based on a true story.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that's kind of cool.
But and then they sent a Jewish guy to go deal with this, like to be like the actual in-person one, and I was like, "What the heck?" And it's. And I'm pretty sure Adam Driver actually is Jewish too. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he actually is.
But they're literally just what they did is they just pissed all over the KKK, basically. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what makes it funny sometimes. Is like, oh, what the heck? It's a really good movie. I like it. I've seen it like
me too.
once or twice, but I think I've seen it twice. It was really good.
I wasn't ready for the grim ending, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ending is not funny.
No, the ending is not. Like, that's like when I saw that, I was like, oh damn, like that. I thought it was good, don't get me wrong. I liked what he did, and I liked that he was drawing the comparisons between, I'm gonna show you something from 60 some odd year whatever, and then I'm gonna show you something that happened like at that point in time, like a couple months before.
Yeah.
You know? And,
yeah, man. I mean, once the credits roll, everything took like a big turn. This is the thing that caught me most off guard as like an RA, because the whole idea of like having a movie night with your residents is, you know, like the whole world is out there, and you're in college too, so you know everyone has something to say, and everyone's trying to, you know, teach, and your teachers will talk about stuff, and you'll discuss things in class, especially if you have like a politics class or something. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be talking about all these things that are going on. So when I watched it, you know, I'm thinking it's a comedy. This will be like a good escape, you know, to get the idea is you get away from reality.
And you just got thrown into it.
Yeah, because it was like the Black Klansman. So I'm thinking like, okay, this will be a funny twist on something that isn't actually funny, you know, and it'll be a way to kind of show it in a different light, you know, which I thought would be good. And then when it ended up not being that, and then the end came, and then it's just, I was like, oh, well. Oops. We all feel terrible now. Yeah.
It's still a good movie, but yeah, if it's not what you were expecting, then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, well, shit. Now we all feel like shit. Oh man.
Yeah. You know what movie was good that I want to rewatch because I've only seen it once was mid-90s. I want to rewatch that.
I've never seen that movie.
It's a A24 movie. It was written and directed by Jonah Hill. But it's not a comedy. Like it's a good movie though. So it's about this kid, and he comes from an abusive home. So like his mom is father is not even in the picture. Mom is always out of the house, and his brother his brother beats the shit out of him. And so he has a troubled home life, and he sees these kids that are a bit older than him outside of a skate shop, kind of rebellious. So it's a movie about it's not a skateboarding movie. It's about a kid who finds comfort within this community. And these people just so happen to be skateboarders. I love found family. Like, I love that idea in movies and stuff. I always think that that's really cool. Especially in coming of age stories. Like, I love that shit. Like, that's like, give me more. Yeah. And that's what that movie does. Is it's basically found family. He finds community within within skateboarding, within these kids that skate, and he learns more about the culture and how it is, and these people in their lives, and how they have troubled home lives, and that's really what skateboarding was in the 90s too. Is it was a lot of troubled kids that found community and family within each other and the
With
culture.
one
You know what I
another.
mean? And that's what that movie does really well. And it's cool because like
I like it.
Jonah Hill actually grew up skating in the 90s, right? That he actually did. So it was cool to see, like, he clearly had an understanding of it. And
Yeah.
what was also cool was it's funny that he said this, but he's right. So the actors in the movie are all professional skateboarders in real life.
Oh, that's sick.
And he said, and it was funny what he said, because he didn't want to do stunt doubles, right? And he said it's easier to turn skateboarders into decent actors than it is to turn actors into decent skateboarders.
Right. Well,
Because skateboarding just takes way more time to get. Like,
well, that's one of the most incredible things about actors, like Ryan Gosling for La La Land, for example. He actually learned how to play the piano. Like he went like balls to the wall learning piano, and he was actually able to perform on the piano. And that's what's crazy about acting. Elizabeth Olsen is another one. She did a movie where she was an FBI agent not too long ago. And so for those of you that don't know, that's the girl who plays the Scarlet Witch in the Marvel movies. But she plays this FBI agent, and in order to do that, I was just listening to an interview she did the other day. She trained for months, dude, going out to gun ranges, making sure she knew how to handle a gun. That way, when she went on screen, and talking to police officers and cops, and like figuring out how that world works, like what it is actually like, trying to get as close to it as she could, so that when she brings her performance to the screen, it's believable. She wants it to look real. And this is why the best actors are the best actors. It's because they will go above and beyond. They'll do things that nobody said they had to do, to make it look real.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the things that Keanu Reeves, right? What's it called? The John Wick movies, they're not realistic in any way, shape, or form. It's just a big action sequence. That's basically what the movie is.
Pretty much.
But all the shooting stuff, he went and learned. Same thing. He went to shooting ranges, and he was a beast. He learned how to do all of it. And I watched, there was a video of a cop, I think, or somebody, and someone that basically knows how to handle weapons and stuff in combat situations, and was like, yeah, I mean, he was like, obviously this is dramatized, but like the way he's doing it, like if you were gonna do it, that's what you would do. He learned like even like the way he handled a gun, right? He said the guy that was watching the video and breaking it down, he said the something that he hates about movies is when they hold pistols, when they hold them hella close to their face. He's like, that gun's gonna hit you in the head if you do that. Right?
Yeah.
He said you have to extend your arm, and every scene that Keanu was in where he did that, his arm was always extended. So it looked like it looked.
You can't hold a gun like this. You gotta go out. Yeah.
And it looked as realistic as like you could make something like that look, and it was good. It was cool the way they did it. Like he clearly knew what he was doing.
That's like a video game idea, but even in video games, like you get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the idea that some guy can like go into like the club scene. That's like one of my favorite scenes in the John Wick movies. Is from the first movie where he goes after the guy's son, the Russian guy's son.
Yeah.
And he basically clears out everybody in the club with like no civilian casualties at all.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. You can't. Even like the hand-to-hand combat stuff that you see in movies where people will take down like 10 guys, that's not possible. Like,
No.
You can't do that. That's just not. Even guys that are like black belts and stuff are like, no.
Yeah.
If you're against guys that don't know what they're doing at all, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? But these
like,
guys in these movies are also supposed to be trained.
Like trained assassins, like no.
You're not going to go through 10 of them like that.
Maybe if you're really, really good, maybe you'll survive a fight with a few at a time. Maybe. But you're not going to be John Wick in it.
No. Although there's this one story that my aunt told me. She went to med school in Grenada, I think. So it's an island, I think. Forget where, but there was this one guy that they knew, and he was like a black belt, and I forget what. And basically, these guys tried to jump him, like a few guys, and he beat the shit out of all of them. I don't know this guy's name, but yeah, he like there was like a few guys, and he whooped all their asses.
Yeah.
So like there are people that could, but like I guarantee you that those guys that went against him were they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to fight.
No, of course not.
Right. So like it's if you're not a white belt or blue belt, if you're a black belt in something you've been training for years, you might be able to go against a few guys that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the thing too, is like street fighting is way different than like trained martial arts, you know?
A lot of even people that do martial arts will say this. A lot of the stuff you see like trained martial artists do, like, just doesn't translate to the real world fighting.
Yeah.
The most practical ones to
learn
jiu-jitsu is really useful because most fights, street fights, if you watch, they end up on the ground.
Yeah.
And if you know what, and that's all.
So if you can grapple, you're gonna have a huge advantage. Yeah.
If you know what to do on the ground, especially, you can get control of the situation without actually really hurting anyone. Right? If you could put someone to sleep, right? If you know how to grab someone, put them to sleep, boom, they're out. You've ended the. Now, if you put them in an armbar, right? You can seriously hurt someone, but it's on them. You put someone in an armbar, you go, if you move, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure, and if you move, you're going to break your own arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You put someone in basically it's a similar thing. You put them in you basically grab their ankle and do the same thing. I will twist and break your ankle if you move, right?
Yeah.
I saw a video where someone did that. He was like, if you keep moving, I'm going to twist. Right? But you can get control of situations if you know how to do so. Like, that's why I want to learn jiu-jitsu, right? I think it's practical to learn.
It's the most practical martial art to learn, yeah.
I also do think, though, that learning, like, a bit of boxing and, like learning a bit of striking is good.
Yeah.
Like, if you can just become kind of well-rounded in that, like MMA is probably, like, the most realistic. If you, because those guys know how to fight. Like, that's not someone you'd want to fight on the street. Those guys will beat your ass.
Yeah, they'll destroy you.
They know what they're doing, right?
They might not be able to take on a bunch of guys at once necessarily, but you know, say like this is probably the most common sort of a confrontation people will get into in regular life. Depending, again, it depends where you are at, obviously. Like, but I feel like bars, a lot of conflict happens at bars, honestly, and clubs and things like that. Say some drunk guy gets in your face or something and tries to start shit with you. Obviously, you want to de-escalate the situation as much as possible, but if you actually do get into a confrontation, most people, they're going to strike. That's what they're going to do. Some guy's going to throw a punch at you is what's going to happen, you know?
Most people don't know how to throw a punch either.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. A lot of people, so I saw a video of some guy throwing a punch and he fell over. The guy he was trying to hit just kind of like moved out of the way, and the dude just fell over. It was hilarious. But that's what most people will do, though. They'll go for striking because that's
here's what's funny.
That's what you think. You think, oh, I'm gonna like hit this person, you know?
So here's what's funny, right? Again, this is the good thing if you know how to grapple. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever, if you know how to grapple, though. So most people are going to think to strike. So if you close that distance and you're like, come here, and you bring them close, guess what? Most people don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And if you can control this, and then guess what? You're now in control.
Yeah.
Right? And you can take control without seriously putting someone to sleep. You're not really going to hurt them. You might, crank their neck a bit. And now, if you don't know what you're doing, you can accidentally kill someone. That you just hold too long and then they'll die. You see people do that. Like,
yeah, you could break their neck accidentally too.
Yeah, if you squeeze too. If you don't know what you do, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's like that middle ground.
Yeah.
Now, it's not too difficult to know what you're doing. Like, I've almost put my cousin to sleep by mistake, but I was able to recognize it, right? And I went, okay, you figure out that right amount of pressure to put.
Yeah.
Now, it hurts your neck, right? I had it, because then he did it to me the next week, and it hurt my neck, right? It doesn't feel good, but
it's not gonna.
It's better than someone beating your face in. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Or giving you a permanent injury or something like that.
Exactly. Like, just grabs, boom, put them out. Okay, they're done.
Exactly.
Now, you have to know how to do that. Right, I'm not training it I don't really know. I've picked up something because my brother actually did wrestling, right? So I've learned some stuff from him. I've also watched stuff and then practiced it with my brother, like actually trying to learn stuff. So now, mind you, I'd still probably lose in a fight, but I'm a bit more confident that if it ended up on the ground, I'd have kind of an idea of what to do.
See, I don't know how to fight. I basically have like no physical ability to defend myself, and that is that's mainly just bad is all it is.
Yeah.
Because basically if someone gets into a confrontation with me, I immediately fear for my life because I have no way to defend myself other than by lethal force, which means a knife or a gun or something if I get my hands on one. Which means that if I get into a confrontation and, you know, I fear for my life, basically what my only option is to, if I want to incapacitate the person, is to use something that could potentially kill them, you know?
Right.
Like a knife or something.
See, I want to learn. Jiu-jitsu is the main thing I want to learn.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get pretty good at like just basics, right? Learning how to handle myself. I also want to learn some striking stuff. The problem is I can't practice sparring because of my heart.
Right.
Because it's striking. I can practice grappling, right? I just can't. Striking is the thing I'm not supposed to do. But, you know, I want to learn this, like, take like a boxing class, Muay Thai class, and just go to it every now and then just to work on that. So that way I at least know how to throw a proper punch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And learn stuff like that. Just because, one, I think it's a good way to keep you in shape, keep you healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason I want to do it. Just exercise, keep myself healthy, because I need to do more cardio. But also, like, there is that self-defense aspect of it. I'm a skinny guy, right? And you never know, right? I'm not going to win in pure strength. So if I know how to subdue someone that's bigger than me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Of course I want to learn how to do that. Not to hurt anyone, right?
But to be able to defend yourself and to protect yourself and other people.
And it's the whole thing. Like, people always look to, self-defense. In the U.S., at least, most people jump to, gun, self-defense. It's like, dude, there's so many, like...
Well, that's because most people are like me and they can't actually defend themselves.
That's true. But, like, if you know how to defend yourself without having to use anything, I think that's when you're safest. Where you don't have to have any... Now, here's the thing, right? If someone comes up to you with a knife... You know how you fight them? You run. You don't try to grapple with this person. That's stupid.
You could, you know, if you had to. If you
had to, but even okay, so the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that started with a family, right? And those guys are still alive.
Yeah.
The big guys are Renner and then Hito and Gracie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them talked about, he said, if someone pulls out a knife, and these guys are like, I think 2nd or 3rd degree black belts in this.
Mm-hmm.
He said, someone pulls out a knife, you know how you fight against them? You go the other way.
Yeah, you literally.
And these are black belts saying this.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it's not worth it. Well, you don't know.
There's a risk there.
There's a huge risk. It's stupid.
Yeah.
If let's say you get a hold of one hand, okay, and they just grab it with the other and then cut you, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, just go the other way. Exactly. It's in those situations where you're in a bar and someone has a big mouth and tries to hit you. Okay, guess what? You know you can control the situation now.
Exactly. You're basically never gonna have to worry about any kind of a physical, non-lethal... Well, I mean, those confrontations can be lethal, but if you're thinking about someone just using their own body and they're not using like a knife or a gun or anything, then you're going to always have the advantage, basically. You know? So the guys that... okay, so I don't know if you remember, there was a... This was like 2016. Mm-hmm.
It was a guy in Paris, and he went to go... He was on a train. I think he was either going to try to go on a stabbing rampage or shooting. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But there was a guy there that knew very basic jiu-jitsu, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he put the guy in a rear naked choke. And he got his leg stabbed. So the guy did have a knife. He got his leg stabbed a couple times.
Yeah.
Right? He got cut up.
Mm-hmm.
But he got the guy in the rear naked choke. Boom. And then once he put him to sleep, they just tied him up in the... Problem solved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's another video. It was a guy on a subway, I think in the U.S. This was funny because the guy in the video. Okay, so there's the guy in the video that he was drunk or something, mm-hmm. and he was like harassing someone,
mm-hmm.
and like kind of getting in their face. And this guy just comes up behind, no hesitation, just comes up behind him, mm-hmm. wraps his up, boom, puts him to sleep, and then done. That guy's not trained in anything. I think he said he was like, oh yeah, I've seen people do it in like the UFC, so I kind of just figured out. And that's the thing though, like it's not. That's how I learned how to put someone in a guillotine. I'd seen people do it enough times where I went, oh okay, I get it.
Go and
then
that,
I did it, and it worked.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's straightforward stuff. See, I feel like I should at least like know how to do it in theory. That way I could potentially execute it, you know?
I just watched a bunch of videos one day and then like again, but like all me and my brother and my cousin, like when we go over to their house, we'll kind of go at it and wrestle and just, you know, we're young boys, we're young men. That's what we do.
Oh, that's my computer. I heard a noise and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's fun. It's also just fun. You good?
Oh no, that's someone's like using the faucet. I'm like hearing this noise. I'm like, what is that washy noise? Like, someone running something? Like what's happening? Oh, anyways, you're saying?
Oh no, I was just saying like it's also just fun to like do like me and my cousin or Sean or whatever. You know, we'll just go at it. It's just fun. You know, we're young boys. It's fun to get out that aggression.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. You have to have something to do.
I think physical activity is good at like having something to do. I think, don't get me wrong, like wrestling and stuff is fun, but just anything that kind of physically pushes you, I think is a good thing. Working out, like lifting and stuff like that. That's playing a good example because like
playing drums. Oh.
Sorry, what?
I said playing drums.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, right. That's something. It just.
Dude, if I hop on the drums for 30 minutes, I could be sweating harder than I would if you took me to the gym for an hour. I mean, it depends what kind of workout we're doing, but
I was saying, I don't know about that. How about you come? We'll go to the gym and then I'll have you do one of my workouts.
I'll tell you what. I'll be sweatier than I would if I went on a run for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I don't know. Like so skateboarding, like that's something like that Aaron and I have like really gotten back into it recently. Mm-hmm. And like I've been actually like pushing myself to learn stuff and it's just fun. You know what I mean? I did a drop that I was kind of scared to do and then I just learned how to do it. I want to try ollieing it next. But it's fun. Just doing stuff like that. Yeah.
No, totally, dude. See, this is one of the main things that I want to focus on more in the future because obviously I've been having a lot of issues kind of like off and on for the past year or so, and I feel like health wise I'm at a place now where like I should be good to kind of go back to living normally. And so that's one of the main things that I want to focus on is just getting back on like a fitness plan. And you don't need like a gym or anything to stay in good shape, you know, or just to even be healthy at least, you know. I have kettlebells here at my house, so if I want to put on you know, if I want to get bigger, like I can, you know, it's just, I just gotta have the right diet basically. And, you know, I can swing kettlebells, lift kettlebells around, you know, for whatever time, all day, whatever, you know, and, I could do that whenever, you know, cause I just have the kettlebells here, you know, and you don't need like a lot. I have like 2 sets, like I have like 20, 25s and like 35s or something. And then I can go run. Like I could literally just go outside and run. I could jump rope. I could do calisthenics, you know, you could do, there's so many different variations of like just push-ups, you know? Yep. So you could do different kinds of push-ups, sit-ups, planks, aerobic calisthenic exercises. Like there's so much you can do. Like there is literally, even time, I feel like time can kind of be a bullshit excuse for not doing stuff to keep yourself physically healthy too. You know, because you could say, oh, well, you know, I don't really have a lot of time. There's so much going on. The reality a lot of times is like, see, this is where I know I'm like screwing up because I'll play video games like a lot and then I won't do other things. And it's like, I know I have time to do other things. I'm just choosing not to use that time efficiently.
That was, so for a while, that's kind of, I felt like I was wasting a lot of time too. And I realized how much I can get done in a day, especially this past week. And I still have time to do stuff afterwards and just chill.
Yes.
Like I've been, basically for the past week, like I've managed to read, write like my own stuff, do homework. I find time to go skate. I work out. And then I still have time to do stuff that I want to do. Like not other stuff I want, like chill. I'll watch something. I'll play games for a bit. Whatever it is. You know what I mean? I don't put as much time into playing games. I'm not going to binge watch a show as much. Right? But I'm not...
But because you
really
have
care
your
because
time organized and because you're, on top of everything, you're able to do so much more, basically.
Yeah, dude. I mean, today, so like after this, so like this morning even, like before we started the podcast, I was able to I cleaned my room up a bit. I meditated. I read. I made breakfast and ate. We're doing this. After this, like as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go lift.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm gonna do some homework. I'm gonna go to class. I don't know. I'll probably hang out with Aaron later. I might skate for a bit. So it's just managing time. I think I used to suck at it, and I'm still not great at it. Don't get me wrong. I still have my moments where I kind of like yesterday. To be fair, I just have really long days on Mondays because I go to work, and dude, yesterday my patience was getting tested, bro.
Why?
But I'll explain. But so I had work, right? And then I come home and then I have 2 classes back to back. And then I have about an hour break before I go to a 3-hour class. Mm-hmm. So I was just tired, right? I didn't really read or write it yesterday. But to be fair, everything I just said is over the course of 12 hours. Right. So I had a 12-hour day. So I was kind of done afterwards. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to chill. But every other day of the week, like today, woke up, did the stuff I wanted to do. And then I'm, like I said, after this, gonna go lift. But no, patience yesterday. Okay, so it was a little late leaving work just because not all the meals were packed. I had to print stuff and it just took a little longer to leave. So I was kind of like, damn. So I was behind. Mm-hmm. And then I had to pull over I had to look through all of the meals because I thought I took an extra one that I wasn't supposed to, like a specific type. So I had to search my entire car. Mind you, that's like 50, 60 meals that I had to take out of my car to look at.
Yeah.
And then put them all back in.
Yeah. Fuck.
And then I started driving.
And then you stalked me.
And no, not yet. That was a little later. And then I started driving again because I was in the Jeep, right? I don't know if you noticed. That picture was the truck. I was driving the Jeep, and all of a sudden the whole fucking car started vibrating. And I was like, what? Check engine light came on, and it didn't just come on. At first it came on, I went, maybe it was fine. Yeah. And then it started beeping at me, and then I could feel the car. And I was like, okay, that's not fun.
Yeah.
So I called my dad, and then I had to drive. Mind you, I was on the other side of town, so then I had to drive all the way back to the house. Yeah. I had to take all the meals out, I had to put them all back into the other car, and then I had to drive all the way to the other side of town, and then I had to stalk you, and then no, I'm just kidding. And then
this man shows up outside my house taking pictures.
I was literally across the street. I do 3 deliveries on that street right across from you.
Yeah.
3 or 4. And I was like, let me fuck with them real quick.
That's always funny.
And then all that, so I wasn't able to take as many houses as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So I didn't hit the goal for the amount of cash I was trying to make. So I was just like, bro, fuck. And then I came home and all the stuff was school. Mind you, I still had the rest of the day until night basically for school. And I was like, oh boy. But
if you think about it though, there are really a lot of hours in the day. If you can get your ass moving, use your time efficiently. I mean, say you wake up at 7, go to bed at 11. You're not getting the ideal amount of sleep probably, but you're going to probably get enough, If you can get over 7 hours, that's reasonable, If you can, 8, maybe 9. So everyone's body's different, right? But
I don't make the time to ever get that much sleep. I usually get, on nights that I work, before I was getting 6.5, 7 hours on the nights that I worked, which is stupid.
Jeez, dude.
Now I've been getting I try to get at least 7 when I know that I work the next day, just because I'm usually I'll skate with Aaron or some shit, and I usually just don't go to bed till a little later.
Right.
So I don't know. I've just been trying to go to bed earlier, just so that way I feel more. I just feel better when I go to work. And throughout the whole day, right? I'm not hella tired. I'm able to just get things done.
I mean, if you can get at least 7 hours of sleep, and we throw a 30-minute cushion in there, because you need the time to actually fall asleep. Mm-hmm. Which having a regular sleep schedule is one of the biggest things with that, because your body will naturally start getting tired when you normally go to sleep, and then you'll start naturally waking up when you normally wake up. But
I don't have a good sleep schedule.
You have a fucked up sleep schedule?
Although, no, actually, it's interesting because today I just woke up. I went to bed way earlier. I went to bed at like 12:15 last night. And I woke up. My body just woke me up like at 8. I went back to bed.
Yeah.
Right. And then I woke up at like 9 because during the week, 9 is already, I shouldn't be waking up that late anyway, but like, I don't know.
It's better than 1.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I don't know.
That's when I woke up yesterday. I woke up at like 1 o'clock yesterday.
You woke up at 1 in the afternoon?
I went to bed at 7 a.m.
Why'd you go to bed at 7? Oh, you're playing?
No, actually, I watched a movie, and then I got nostalgic because I used to watch Doctor Who a lot when I was a kid too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back and watched old episodes of Doctor Who, and when I checked, I didn't even check the time actually. The sun started coming up, and I was like, "Oh, it's like morning. I need to go to bed. I need to get some sleep." That's what happened. Yeah.
Nice. I don't remember the last time I've stayed up that. Like, I stayed up till 2.
That's how disorganized I am. Like, that can happen.
I stayed up until like 2 last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I slept until like 10:30, something like that. The next day, I was like, I'm not getting up early. But it was the weekend, so I didn't really care. But usually, I don't go to bed that late anymore. I'm usually like, the latest I go to bed is like 1.
Yeah, that's pretty late too. Because if you go to bed, say you go to bed, this is my goal: is I want to try and be asleep by like 11:30 maybe, and wake up at 7. Because midnight to 7, if you are actually asleep for that amount of time, that's 7 hours. So if I go to bed at 11:30 and I actually fall asleep before midnight, should be able to get ideally 7 hours.
I fall asleep heck quick.
I think for me, it just depends. It depends how tired I am. It depends. Because sometimes I have
That's true.
I'll be on like an up cycle and I'll be like super awake. So I try to go to sleep. It's like super restless.
That's true. Yeah, that happens to me too.
Yeah.
Like if I'm feeling tired though, and like I lie down, I'm out in 5-10 minutes.
Oh yeah, same. If that, I mean, if I'm like really tired, I might just be able to like 5 minutes, I'll be out, tops.
Yeah.
But you still have, if you get 7 hours of sleep, you have 17 whole ass hours in the day. Even if you add like a 30-minute cushion to go to bed, which eventually you might not need to because you'll just be falling asleep. That's like 16 hours, 16 and a half hours in the day, every day, And if you're not spending the first 30 minutes when you wake up on your phone, bad habit I picked up, bad habit a lot of people have. If you're not doing that and you just get up, you go brush your teeth, you wash your face, maybe take a shower, whatever you do in the morning, work out. You could work out for just 20 minutes. If you say someone spends like an hour on their phone in the morning, you could work out in that hour, wash your face, do your hygiene, take a shower after you work out, and start making breakfast all within that same hour. Whereas if you're just on your phone, then like, what do? You're just like laying in bed. You're probably not doing anything important on your phone. Maybe you'll read something cool, maybe, but you probably won't even remember it. Like, you're not going to get anything out of that,
I used to look at my phone a lot when I woke up.
Yeah.
But I kind of broke that habit, and then this past week, I've been pretty consistent with it. Like, the first thing I do in the morning, like, I wake up and I kind of, like, I sit in bed for a second, right? And I usually, like, I kind of just, like, I actually wake up, I'll drink a little bit of water. And then before, like, I even really get, like, I sit up straight, right? And I sit up, and then I try meditating for however long. Today, I did it for almost, like, 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do that in the morning. Just for me, like, I feel very calm and then focused. And then I make my bed, and I kind of clean up my room in the morning. Like, I'll just put some stuff away that needs to be put away. Like, I had some clothes sitting on my couch. Before I even left my room, I got up, I made my bed, and I put everything that was out. I mean, there's some stuff like right next to me on like my dresser that I need to put away, but like all like clothes and things like sitting like around the room. Nope, put them away.
Yeah.
And then I go out, I brush my teeth, and then I went on here, and then I went no. I left, and then I went and read like 20 pages of this book I'm reading, and then made breakfast, and then came on here.
Yeah.
And but on days that I work, I just don't do that. I don't wake up early enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To do all of that. I think what I want to start doing is at least wake up early enough to like try meditating for like 10 minutes at least.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me enough time to kind of get up and then go about my day.
I tried meditating for one of the first times the other day. I've done it before, but I mean, I tried to do like a really long meditation, like a 20-minute minimum sort of a thing, just to see if I could get into the zone. And it was crazy because it happened so fast. It was like over before I knew what was happening. And I felt like I was tripping low key. I was like really focusing on my breathing.
Yeah.
And I picked an interesting sitting position too. I had tried different sitting positions because part of it for me is I don't know if I should go with something. There's a lot of different sitting positions basically, and they all are for different things. Like there's some that are better for if you're focusing on breathing. There are some that are just more comfortable and easier. There are some that require a lot of muscle engagement. So I just did some like basic crisscross applesauce. I'm just trying to be comfortable. I put my back against the wall to keep myself upright and everything to promote good breathing. And I just sat there and I just practiced nasal breathing, and I just let my mind do whatever it was going to do. And I just shut my eyes and I just existed. And
yeah,
it was like the 20 minutes. I set an alarm for 20 minutes and I felt like 5 minutes maybe. It was crazy.
What I do before, what I would do is I would practice breath work, like I would do that, and I would listen to this. So what I would try to do before is I would listen to the sound of my breathing, right? So I would focus on the feeling of breathing in, and also listening to the sound of it, and I would try to like basically quiet my thoughts and just focus, like become hyper focused on something. For X amount of time. Today I tried something different because in the book I'm reading it talks about it, and I went, okay, I'll try this. I basically had like a series that I went through today. So like I started off just to get my mind calm and focused. So it's I breathed in for 4 seconds. I held my breath for 4 seconds, and then I breathed out for at least 4 seconds. I was doing 8 every time, and I just kept doing that, right? And I would focus on the sound and the feeling of it, and I kept doing that. And then what I kind of did, so I did that for a bit, and then I went and so for me, like this isn't for everyone. I wouldn't say I'm like religious, right? But like I don't know. I started learning more about my faith, so I like prayed like a little bit, right? So I meditated, and then I kind of went into that, but not like the way that you like. I just kind of meditated on it and just thought about it, and I just kind of went, okay, let me focus on this and this understanding. Let me just, I don't know, right? And I did that, and then I kind of moved from there. So like I kind of like phases of meditation. The first thing was breathing, focusing. The next thing for me was prayer. That's not for everyone. It's just something I wanted to do. And then the next part, which is I think that's something that could benefit people, for me, it helped, is I thought about it calmly. I didn't allow my mind to think quickly. I calmly thought, okay, what do I want to do today? And what do I need to get done? And how am I going to do it?
So you're...
Now, while I did that, my breathing was very controlled, right? So it forced me to think about everything I needed to do calmly. And kind of helped me break down my day. Because I suck at writing down schedules and sticking to it. So I went, okay, let me just be very focused on what I need to get done, what I want to do.
That's very
and what I want to accomplish today.
Yeah.
And how am I going to do that? Like, is this feasible to get this all done? And I kind of just filtered out, okay, what do I need to get done? What do I want to get done? And I focused on that. And then once I was done with that, then I got up and went about my morning.
That is very interesting. See, because I basically can only function if I have a written schedule. It has to be very complicated too. Or detailed, really, is what it has to be. And if I don't have that, it's very easy for me to do like nothing that I need to do, you know. I have to write it down and say like, you're going to do this at this time. And even before that, I have to have an idea of, I have to have done that thing before, so I know like this how long this is going to take, you know. So a lot of times I have to have, I'm a planner. I have to have some kind of plan, even if it's just a mental plan. Say this is what I would do at the beginning of every semester, is I'd give myself a week to get acclimated, basically, right? And so when I go to campus, for the first day of the semester. In college, normally, what I'll do is I'll just have the week, you know? And that's really easy because you have what I call immovables, which is like your classes. Those aren't going to move, you know?
Yeah.
And so what I'll do is I'll get an idea of what kind of work is going to be expected in all these classes, what kind of studying I'm going to do, how much, work I'm going to have to dedicate and time I'm going to have to dedicate to these classes specifically. And so once I do that for a week, I can build everything else that I would need and want to do around that, basically.
That's smart.
And this is one of the reasons it's been so difficult with me for me to do anything during COVID, is because I don't have that. I don't even, like, my classes are asynchronous, so we don't even have scheduled lectures or meetings or anything. And usually my teachers don't even have any kind of lecture at all. They basically say, this is what we're doing this week. And then it's up to us to basically teach ourselves. We have to do the reading and learn everything on our own. And they don't even, at the very least, have a lecture. Like sometimes they'll say like, oh, this video does a good job of explaining such and such concept. Maybe you could check this out and whatnot. But the teachers don't even teach anymore, Not in my classes, at least, a lot of times. So
I think 3 out of my 5 classes all meet. So.
Yeah, see, that's like the way it should be, honestly.
Nope, 4 out of my 5.
Yeah, that's almost all of them. That's the way it should be. It should be like that. But none of my classes meet. And so there's no structure. The classes aren't structured at all. Not at all like a normal class would be structured. Structured in the sense that it has a set time that is dedicated to it, a meeting place, all these things that provide structure. And I need that to do things,
Yeah.
So if I don't have that, then it's like I could just focus on anything. I could focus on anything else because mentally that association like hasn't been made. That connection hasn't been made to where we have this immovable thing that we're going to take care of. Same time, same day, every week. We know what's expected. I don't have any of that. None of that exists anymore.
Yeah. See, So I work 3 days a week, and I know about what time. So I know that I get there at 8:30, so I know when I gotta get up, and I gotta be there at 8:30, and then I'm usually home because it's on me when I get done. But I'm usually home between 12:30. It's about when I'm home, so I know I have a range, and I know. So it's. I guess I do have more structure than I thought I did because I know, when I have classes, I know when I have work, so then I know on the days that I don't have work, those are the days that I work out, right?
Yeah.
So today, I right after this, in fact, we should only probably do this for another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go work out. But just because I gotta get that done, and then I know I have class at 4:30, so then I know that between the time that I get home from working out, I need to shower, eat, and then maybe chill for a little bit or work on some stuff. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then I know I'll go to class.
In your mind, you have made this connection, you have an idea of the time in such a way as that it's almost like it's already happened probably because it's happened before,
Right.
So exactly how things are going to go more or less, obviously minus the details.
More or less. I try not to be for me at least, it just doesn't extremely disciplined to where down to the minute I know what I'm doing. That's just not me.
Yeah.
That doesn't, now it's funny. So in this book I'm reading, and I was I already kind of do this, but I like what he talks about. I keep looking up because it's right there, but he talks about and says that, so the whole thing, discipline equals freedom, right? He says that's true, but discipline can also be slavery if you don't allow yourself to be flexible. He said you have to find that balance. I think that's life in general, is finding balance. He said find that balance between knowing what you want to get done, how you're going to get done, and like you said, those immovable things that you have to do, but allowing yourself some flexibility, not beating yourself up if you don't necessarily get everything done.
Yeah.
Within that allotted time, right? Because then you just kind of force yourself to be stuck into this amount of time. Let's say I'm writing, right? And let's say I really get into it, and let's say I'm so disciplined that I'm no, I only have an hour, right? Or only 30, whatever it is, right? But let's say I get really into it, and it's no, I need, I should keep going. Well, if you're so disciplined with your time that you don't allow yourself that flexibility.
I don't think that's really discipline, though. I think that's stupid.
I think it's stupid too, but I think that when you, but that happens though, right? That people will, no, I'm going to schedule everything to a minute. I'm not going to allow myself. I watched a video earlier and someone was Yep, if I'm doing something and I right, they'll set a timer for an hour and they won't do anything past an hour. For me,
I think that can work sometimes.
I agree, right?
But again, usually
it's a balancing act, though, right?
Yeah.
You just said sometimes. I don't think you should be super flexible with everything, right? I think you need to have a certain amount of time that you watch certain things.
The main idea with things like that, like if I say I'm going to sit down and write at this time for this amount of time, usually the only thing that will stop me is one of my immovables. That's it. Say I schedule an hour to write, because this is something that I would do regularly when I had my to the minute schedule. I'd have my to the minute schedule, but I know it's just a representation of something, it's an idea. It's not reality, So if I schedule an hour to write and I get to an hour in and say I scheduled from 8 to 9, I'm going to write. That's mainly just to make sure that I write. It gets me started.
You're not actually necessarily completely sticking to that.
Exactly. I could say 8 to 9 I'm going to write, and then I'm going to do something else maybe after, or I might have a space there. And if I have a space there and I'm writing, say I get to an hour and I'm kind of fatigued, I'm like, I need to stop, but I'm going to try to push it a little further just to get some more words on the page, and then I'll call it at an hour. If I get to an hour mark and the juices are flowing and I just want to keep going because I have thoughts and ideas and the flow is just right, I'll keep going, Exactly. Especially if I don't have anything planned afterwards,
Yep.
Or
so what I try to do
I might change things.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, the way that I try to strike balance is I try to go, okay, I want to do something for this amount of time and I'm going to put it in. Like, I'm not going to write it down. For me, that just doesn't, I've never stuck to it. It doesn't work for me. For some people, it's great. For me, I just can't stick to it. Now, if I know, okay, I want to do this amount for this amount of time, right? Like today, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to write for half an hour, right? At least. I'll fit that in where it fits in, right? Maybe it'll fit in before my class. Maybe it fits in after my class. Whenever it'll be, I'm still going to do it. And I know that it needs to get done, right? There are things that I am like a stickler with, like making my bed in the morning, like as soon as I wake up. Like once my foot is on the ground, I might go to the bathroom first, but after I'm back in.
Right.
But now I'm trying to be stickler, meditating first thing in the morning. I don't even leave my bed until I do that. Reading in the morning, especially on days that I don't have work. Reading before I even eat breakfast. Come in my room, I sit right there by my window, open the window up, get some natural light in, read, and I try to do that. I have to get at least 20 pages read in a day, at least. Because if I do that, I'll finish the book.
Interesting, because it's not time based. You're not saying I'm gonna allot a half hour to reading. You're saying 20 pages.
It's an amount.
Yeah, it's an amount. It's amount based. Yeah.
And for me, that works better. If I tell myself, like, with writing, maybe I'll say 30 minutes, but even then, like, I notice that's not what I really do. I say that's what I'm going to do, but it's not. I'm going to go until this isn't just naturally going anymore. But I'm going to go. Like, if that's just juices are flowing, I'll go for an hour or whatever longer. But if it's not, I don't want to write shit. So I'll go, okay, once this isn't working, I'll push it a bit just so that way I get more done. But once it's like, okay, then I kind of move. So I try to, the way I do it is like.
The reason it's good to always do a little bit more though, even if you're not feeling it, is because you can come back to it when you are feeling it,
Exactly.
And then you're going to edit it too. It's not like the final thing.
Right. Yeah. Especially, right, like if you have like some of your ideas down, right, even if you're not really feeling it, you're like, okay, well, I have kind of a start of an idea. I might not even like write it like how I'm trying to, I might just write down, okay, this, like, I want this to happen in this next chapter, right? I have been struggling to write for so long. The most I would do was like I just couldn't sit with it and like do it. I don't know if it's just in the past couple weeks I've just been trying to get more disciplined and focused. I'm on the 3rd chapter, right? And I'm going to keep going. Now, it's not great. Right now, my focus is I'm just going to try to get the story done. And then second time, I'm going to go in. I'm going to look at the story. I'm going to go, okay, now I'm going to expand on these things or just get rid of it. Just how you would for a second draft, whatever, right? But it's just, I just tell them, again, for me, I know what I want to get done, about how much I want to get done, and then I'll go do that, and it'll fit in my day where it fits in. I know that my workout takes me about an hour. So I know I'll be done around probably 2:15 today. Right. Assuming I go in 10 minutes, right? I'll be done by about 2:15. I know my shower, I take a little too much time to get ready. I know that's going to take me about a half hour to do everything, right? And so, but I know, okay, what time is that going to be? 2:45. Great. I know I have an hour and 45 minutes before my next class. What do I want to do between then? Right. So I've figured out my time, and I know about how long it takes me to do things. So for me, again, I don't write stuff down necessarily, but I know how long it takes me to do things at this point. So I kind of just go, oh, okay, I'll just do this then. I make up my schedule as I go throughout the day.
Right.
I know how much time I have in a day. I know what I want to get done, and I just fit it in where it fits in throughout my day.
Yeah, when I'm making my schedule and when I'm sticking to it and getting things done throughout the day, I would do that too, but I would have my minute to the minute schedule still too. Though that's the only other thing, is because whereas it seems like you work pretty well if you have everything in your head and you can just kind of think about it and you'll just kind of know what needs to get done. For me, I don't like having things in my head. In fact, naturally, I've gotten the sense that maybe some people, or maybe this is common with people, that they have kind of chatter in their brains maybe, or that there's kind of naturally stuff happening in your head. I'm not like that. I actually have nothing in my head, like ever. I didn't even know that when people thought, they thought words until I was in like high school. I found that out, that when people think, they think things in like language, you know?
Yeah.
I had no idea that people did that. And I forced myself to kind of think things in words in my head, and I just realized that, like, oh, that's like a different way of thinking. Like, I never thought of that, and it was super weird to me at first. It felt almost like I was talking to myself sometimes, because I was trying to like verbally think things out in my head, and I had no idea that was a thing people actually did naturally.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So me, I'm different. Like, so you were saying when you meditate, you'll have a more focused meditation. You might pray. You might think about your schedule, what you have to do for the day. My meditation, when I meditate, it's completely opposite. The whole goal and the reason for it is completely the opposite. It's what I do, like what I was talking about, how I would sit for like 20 minutes. And that is something I want to do regularly. But for me, the goal is to look past everything, you know? I'm hearing everything. I'm observing my thoughts and taking in my environment. Without my sense of sight, basically, I'm focusing on breathing through my nose, and the whole with what's happening with all my senses, basically, I'm trying to, it's like a feeling. I almost don't know how to explain it, because I'm not focusing on anything necessarily. I'm making sure that my breathing is regulated, but beyond that, I'm just trying to look past everything. I'll be hearing noises. I'll hear people walking outside my door and talking and stuff. And I'm hearing it, but it's like I'm not hearing that. I'm like hearing past it. I'm hearing the silence of the room beyond the voices and the things happening outside my window or outside my door. You know, I'm observing my thoughts, but I'm going beyond my thoughts. It's almost like a feeling in my mind, you know? My thoughts are there, but I'm really going past them, you know? And I don't really know how to explain what that is or how to do that even. But when I meditate, that's what I'm doing, and that's the goal. It's to look beyond everything that's happening and find that, to listen. It's almost like listening for the silence almost, you know?
Yeah. For me, what I do, the way that because I have a lot of chatter, or like I would, right? Going on in my head, just constantly firing off. And what I do in the mornings, and it honestly, like, I feel calmer throughout the day, right? Is I become hyper focused on, so like I have that little what's it called, like a humidifier, and it makes a sound, right? So I focus on that because my brain is just it's just loud sometimes, and so I will listen to that, and then also listen to the sound of my breath while also focusing on the feeling of it. So I become hyper aware of myself and everything around me, and the sounds and things but I try to focus on certain sounds, right? I focus on the sound of that. I focus on the sound of my breathing. I focus on the feeling of my breathing, and that's it. That's what I try to focus on. And for me, I do it because I want my mind to feel calm and focused. For me, that it helps. And then I actively think, okay, what am I going to do today, but I also have done other things like so I was thinking about and I didn't realize I already kind of do this with certain things. So I was looking at like judgments that I've made, right? Things that bother me, and I went. That's what I did this morning. I just before I got out of bed, I went, okay, what? I was thinking about something just popped in my head, and I went, you know what? Let's look at this. And it was just something that bothered me, something that I noticed about someone. It bugged me, and I went, why does this bother me? And I was like, that's not why. Keep going. And I just kept forcing myself to go deeper and deeper to get to the root of why I think that thing. And that's what I'm going to try to do with a lot of my beliefs. Is I'm going to sit and I'm going to think about it. Why
really
do you believe
break
this?
everything down. Yeah.
Because I think when you understand, I think it's a really good thing to do with fear too. Is if you understand, why am I scared of this? Right. It's like, is that really why? Let's go deeper into it. And then you keep going further and further and further into it. So someone's saying, I don't know, they're scared of spiders, whatever. It's like, are you scared of the spider, like the physical thing, like, or what? Like, go further and further. Maybe it's childhood trauma of something like that. You whatever it is, you can just get really deep into it to understand why you. You could also do the same thing with desires, goals that you have. Right? That was another thing I did. Why do I want to start a nonprofit where I teach, not just me, but I get a group of people to, teach immigrant kids how to skateboard and give them a place to go to on weekends and provide them food. That's a goal that I have. Now, why do I have that goal? Well, why do I want to do that? Is it out of my own selfish desire to feel good by doing this, or is it out of wanting to help others and things like that? And really going into, why do I want to do this? Any goal that you have, it's like, well, why do you really want to do it? Do you want to do it because of pressure from parents, society, whatever it is, or do you want to do it from an internal motivation?
Yeah.
And what exactly is that internal motivation? Does that motivation come out of fear? Does it come out of a desire for material things, or does it come out of a sense of duty and love? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah. I think one of the best reasons to do anything is to do it for the sake of itself. That's really? If there's anything that you can do and you love doing it just for the sake of doing it, I think that is something that is worth being pursued, to the fullest extent. Like for me, like if, I enjoy making music, not even necessarily just playing drums, but literally just anything to do with making music, whether it's writing songs myself, playing drums, writing parts mainly is what I enjoy the most even. That is something that like is just fun to do. Music makes me feel things, and there's a lot of music that, now this might sound weird to people who don't hear music in their head all the time, but I do. And and it's not that it's like just there on it, like from somewhere else. It's like I can create music in my head, So like if I want to make something, I can make it in my mind, and then I have to make it real,
Right.
And so it's just like one of those things that I just like it. It's just cool,
Yeah.
And I don't do it because of like any reason. Like it's not even like a good thing to do if you're trying to make money or anything. It's like the last thing you should want to do, But
the reason really, what it sounds like you're saying, that it comes down to a love and joy for it.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to do anything.
Yeah, but you're just doing it for what it is, I'm not. Yes, I love it and I enjoy it because it's like music. Because I like making music. Why do you like making music? Because I like making music. Like that's the reason, I get all this stuff from it, but it's just cool, It's just cool to make music. That's why I like it, just to make it, because I like making music. Like that's why.
Yeah. No, I mean I get that.
So I feel like if there's it, I think a lot of people nowadays, because it's so easy to be able to make music, like the level of entry is, the bar for entry is like low, you know? A lot of people I think get confused and they think that like they want to make a living doing that. That's super unrealistic. If you just think about like how many people want to do that, it's like,
and mind you, this is coming from someone who's in a band.
Yeah, I'm in a band. I am pursuing making a living in music. The reality is that most people A, can't, and B, won't, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's fine. Like, you don't have to make a living doing it. And you can just do it because it's fun, because you just like doing it, you know? I think that's something that a lot of people have forgotten, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like you can just like making music and not make a career out of it, you know, or not want to make a living doing it, because there are so many things to life. Like, I want to be a writer too, you know, and I think later in life I want to teach, because once you're older, like when I'm 50, I'm gonna have this whole life. It would be a shame if I had a life striving for all these crazy goals that I have, and for, you know, a level of proficiency in all these things I want to do, writing and music and whatnot, and I didn't share that with younger people, you know, if I didn't then teach something. So I think that's almost like an obligation that like all our elders have, but many neglect, you know?
Yeah,
so
no, I agree.
When I grow up, I want to teach people, you know?
Yeah, no, so when I want to, so I, you know, that's what I want to go into. I want to teach at a college.
Yeah.
I want to teach at community college first, and then perhaps, because I've had teachers that have done this where they teach at a community college and a university. For me, the best teachers I've had have always been the ones that were passionate about what they were teaching and that loved what they were talking about. Those have always been the best teachers for me. And it's because of those teachers that I became a good student. Or a better student, I should say. It's because of those teachers that I started to care about school. It's because of those teachers that I changed my mindset from being pro flex school, not even wanting to doing it, right, to going, you know what, I think I'm going to get my PhD. Right? Yeah. I never would have gotten to that place had I not had the right teachers along the way. Right? And so for me, not only does it come out of a sense of I love what I'm studying, it also comes out of, and I would love to talk about that with people and teach people that, right? But also to hopefully push, not into teaching, but just having a teacher that's passionate about what they're talking about and loves what they do, I think makes all the difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and that's a big reason I want to go into teaching, is because of that.
Passionate teachers inspire passion in their students.
That's what I think.
Yeah, 100%, dude. All right. Hey, this has been like a dope conversation. I think this went awesome. Cool. Yeah, super sick. Hey, you gotta go work out and do your exercise and everything. So
yeah, I should probably go get that done. I said I'd be there at 1. It's 1:20, but it's okay.
Yeah, I know, but we had like a really good talk though.
Yeah. No
so
worries. I'm stoked.
Yeah, man. I think this is like a good time to say thank you to everyone who's stuck with us this far and who's listening. We're going to try and get back on regular episodes of the podcast and really get this baby going.
Yeah, we got to.
Yeah.
We'll stick with it. We'll be consistent with it again.
Yeah, we got to figure out like what exactly we're going to do and how we're going to make this what this is going to be, basically.
It's a process, right? We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and so that all just starts like with just consistently doing it. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, bro.
Peace.